What if you turn hardship into greatness, anger into serenity? Everything changes. Make your life a masterpiece. Welcome, I'm Yanik, your host, and now joining me, Dr. Moazzem Hossain, to discuss harmony and diversity, ultimate tool for conflict resolution. Have you ever wondered what conflict resolution has to do with harmony and harmony with conflict resolution, and what we actually mean by conflict and harmony, and why you should be aware and should embrace conflict and at the same time harmony, and so much more. If you're interested now to really discuss and learn about harmony and how it relates to conflict and conflict resolution, this is the episode for you now. Welcome back, Dr. Moazzem Hossein, to really discuss and unpack harmony in diversity, specifically how it relates to conflict resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Yanik. Thank you once again, as we have started our another topic related with harmony, that harmony as a key tools for conflict resolution. Before that, in fact, I will not go for deliver a discussion on conflict. What is conflict in a layman language? That you know that conflict is nothing but disagreement with others. And you know, but this conflict is inevitable because of human nature. I will come to this point later, but you know, conflict ranges from personal life, family life, in your in a group, in your office, or you know, in a society, then state versus a state. You can see that it ranges from micro level to macro level. So now, you know that as I told you that conflict is embedded in nature, and also since we live in the nature, so it is also embedded in us. You know, the great philosopher like Friedrich Nietzsche, he talked about Superman. Oswald Spengler, he talked about will to power and will to live. So you see this concept of Superman and will to power, will to live is nothing but to dominate others. Once you want to dominate others, then conflict is inevitable. In another way, you see the utopian philosopher that is Plato. He gave a detailed explanation about this why conflict. In fact, since we are the human being are the principal agents, so he just defined how our soul works. Then why this conflict arises? He said that there is two parts in our soul. That is desiring part, another one is reasoning part. So desiring part, it desires something, and reasoning part, it balances. But in addition to this, there is another part that is called thymo. This is a Greek terminology that means spiritedness, and this is the root cause of all conflict. And spiritedness, but thymo, there is a two terms on this, that is isothymo and megalothymo. Isothymo means all are equal. But if all are equal, then how these civilization will move on? Who is going to lead? If I am a leader, then leader and led, they all are equal, then it will be difficult for leading. And this thymo is that thing that is that I am the boss. So, these megalothymo is the root cause of all these conflict. And the great leaders, or those who all are involved in this conflict resolution, they try to minimize this aspect of our soul. So here comes the point of harmony. because if you want to solve any issue or if you want to resolve any conflict or if you want to move on, then you need to minimize this megalothymo in you. So here the point comes harmony, and harmony becomes a tool to minimize this megalothymic spirit in everybody. And what is harmony? Harmony, once your everything is works in a measured proportion. You can say that cause and effect, these are also in proportional to it. At that time, everything remains in harmony. But to achieve harmony, there is another thing that is balance. And balance, when you are in a balance, or at that time when you are in a mental equilibrium of all aspects. Importantly, that when emotion has not arisen. So if there is no emotion, then you can see the reality as it is, or your perception about reality will be cleared. But once this is a very important point, and one need to achieve this state of this mental equilibrium to have the clarity of perception or clarity of reality. But regarding harmony, when there is a little bit of this egoistic impulse, but even then you are working in a proportionate measure, divesting of this ego, that is the harmony. So with this now, uh, if you can attain this mental equilibrium and this harmony, at that time this first and foremost point for any discussion with others, that is that you know the reality as it is, or I always tell about the clarity of perception. For this harmony is required. So this harmony is the uh, that key part of this interweaving of natural forces. So, in a, if you look to the nature, you will find there is a balance and harmony everywhere. So, but that's why for conflict resolution, to use harmony as a tool is one of the effective or viable way to meet. So,
So this is brilliant. I just want to quickly kind of put it together, just to put it in my words, and then I give it back to you, and you let me know what you are thinking. I think one part is really important is awareness that there is always a positive and a negative. In other words, in order to have harmony, there is also to some extent disharmony. In other words, when there is conflict, there is also the potential of actually reconcile it. And we have to first and foremost just contemplate nature, that there is always forces that somehow conflict each other, but this contributes in one way or another in a very complex manner, which is very hard to actually quantify, to the harmony as a whole. In other words, the whole is much bigger than its parts. So the parts have its play in the game, even though they might seem by and large, or not by and large, but occasionally contradictory, but they are necessary in order to produce something that is bigger than the parts. Okay? And therefore, it's also very important that we get clarity of perception. In order to get clarity of perception, harmony helps us to see the fact that there are always contradictions and conflict are part of harmony in some way. Okay? And clarity of perception is also very important from a personal perspective, that we know first and foremost that we see the world not the way it is, but it is mediated through our psychic energy, to quote Carl Jung. So there is no objective reality. In other words, we never ever contemplate the same thing, even though we look at the same picture, let's say, because you and I, we have different perspective, we have different values, and therefore we pay attention to different aspects of the very picture we look at it, and therefore we get a different interpretation, which means that our meaning that we associate to the picture differs from one person to the other. Therefore, the only way in order to embrace and cultivate harmony is first and foremost, as you alluded to in the last episode, to really acknowledge that we are different and we will always be different. But now the question is how we bridge the gap between, let's say, you and me by the time we have different perceptions. Okay, so does this somehow make sense?
Yeah, but exactly. You pointed out correctly. But here are two things, just let me make it very clear. One is uh, what you and me are thinking or doing, that is called rational knowledge. Okay. With our rational knowledge, it is somehow abstract and, it is linear in manner. We so here through rational knowledge we cannot see the whole things. You see your point, I see my point. Okay, so through rational knowledge you cannot see the reality as it is. If you want to know the reality, then you will have to have the mental equilibrium. Only when you don't have any ego has not yet arisen. So that is the level, you are in a proper balance. Okay. And once and at that time, you know the reality. So if you take uh, now, basing on that wisdom of you, if you take actions in a measured proportion, because you know things as it is. So you can take this harmonious action that at that time you though it is not you can say that cause and effect will be as you desired, but at least once you are in a harmony, at least you can act independent of egoistic impulse. That is required. Once you are independent of egoistic impulse, that is harmony. So at that time, you can arrive at any solution. If even there is no solution, at least you can remain disagree with the agreement and continue living together with disagreement. Yeah, it will never happen that always my perception and your perception will coincide. But sometimes it will, but not at all the time. So that's why, none other than this, what best solution you have. And whether you like it or not, this is the natural order. Nature is, this is the design of nature and this is the pathway of nature, that the way it works. So you and me will have to conduct life in this way.
This is brilliant. So what you're basically saying is harmony is basically the very key to clear perception, so that we increase the possibility that we will actually see the same thing while looking at the same thing. That is really, really important. And I think that also is important to mention is that by and large, we, whether you practice it or not, are not in harmony with ourselves. Therefore, our perception is always, by and large, distorted. Okay? So, therefore, we have the conflicts all the time. And now it begs the question, okay, how we actually address it. Okay? And there
Yeah,
you come in terms of conflict resolution strategy to harmony, as you will elaborate in terms of theoretical or conceptual approaches derived out from nature. But before we go there, I think it's really important, and I want to know what you really think, and if you actually also agree on that. I think conflict, in my view, and based on what I have read so far, is really a process in which two or more people engage in a perceived, very important, it's perception, a perceived diversions of values, goals, and each and we try to obstruct each other from achieving these goals or values. In other words, again, it comes down, as you mentioned, about perception. And our perception is by and large informed by our values. We have today, we know that the brain value system and the mirror neural system, they are connected. Okay, so wherever we look at something, it means that both of these centers in the brain actually light up. Okay, in other words, where we pay attention to, it somehow implies that we value it, which completely makes sense also from an evolutionary perspective. And I think therefore it's so important to put the emphasis on perception. So just dive a little bit more into that. I want to know from your side, why do you think perception is so important? And why does it play such a huge role when it comes to conflict resolution, but also harmony?
you know, this probably whatever I said, probably I could not make you totally clear, but you said the right thing, though in a different manner people explains. But gist of your thinking and talking is right. That is the and in a world, the root cause of conflict is the belief system. So this is nothing but this is there is a clash of a belief system. You think your own is superior. I think my own is superior. So just remember this thing. This is the root cause of all conflict. You might talk about this culture, talk about value, to talk about this. Why this is not the why perception comes, because I talked about reality. If you know things as it is, that's why I said that there has to be a clear perception of reality, what it is. If you know a glass is a glass, it is not something else. If you know all its proportion or all its materials, how it compose, if you know these things, then you can deal with this. Otherwise, you know, uh, if I do not know you, if I do not know your point, then how I'm going to solve the issue, or how we can become mutually beneficial. We'll come on that point, but this is clarity of perception means that you have the clarity of reality as it is, things as it is. That's that is the key point. Yeah, this in mysticism, there are terminology, but I'm not going on that point since we are dealing with our day-to-day life. So whenever the people always talks that his concept is clear. Okay, his perception is clear. In fact, when this conception is clear, perception is clear, comes. uh, uh, that means that he knows the reality, but he also doesn't know the reality properly. Reason behind, because our we now we are talking about things from our rationality and rational faculty and rational knowledge. And rational knowledge is coming out of intellect, and these characteristics of intellect is dissect things. Okay, and it is I told you that linear in manner. So those are even scientific, but uh, uh, those are workable, but that is not the true reality. True reality, if you want to see things as it is, as I told you, once you are in a balance, once you are in a harmony, and you have the mental equilibrium, you will see the reality as it is. Here, one point, once you can achieve this mental equilibrium, then the key point is that when your ego has not yet arisen. If there is a ego, then this conflict comes in, because of ego, I think that I am the boss. Because of ego, you think that you are the boss. Your point is right. Your perception is right. So we should strive to achieve this mental equilibrium, and then come harmony. Whatever may be the cause, that this egoistic impulse must not distort your harmony, self harmony. Self harmony is the key to remain aligned with the these cosmic forces and know the perceive the reality as it is. As we are talking, and so just I want to give one example, though I didn't intend to talk about this, since you are asking just for a little elaboration from Gita. Krishna advised Arjuna, you see, kill therefore with the sword of wisdom the doubt born of ignorance that lies in thy heart. Be one in self harmony, in yoga, and arise, great warrior, arise. You see, in at all level, Krishna advised Arjuna that uh, you might have your heart might have ignorance, but don't fall prey of this, and you never ever that lose your self harmony. And how to do this? That is be in yoga. Yoga means in Krishna terminology, he first said that establish yoga. That means align yourself with the cosmic forces. So, if you are aligning yourself with the cosmic forces, which I had been espousing you all the time, that look for every solution in the nature. That means once if you are interwoven with these natural forces, that means you are aligning with the system, and you will have the mental equilibrium, and you will have the this harmony, self harmony. So you can see things as it is, and you can conduct your life or anything if you want in a harmonious way to solve any issues, conflict resolution. And even after this, there will be conflict. We will discuss all this, during our discussion later on. If it is clear to you, or if you have questions, we can clarify.
No, this is brilliant. I mean, there is also something actually. Arvind Sharma, he is also he is talking about Hinduism, and he says it's also very powerful because that is really the crux, right? Reality, because ultimately what we are really looking for is the search for reality, because the reality in and of itself is not really defined yet. So he makes this analogy. He says like an appearance doesn't necessarily follow consistency. Okay, you can appear today this way and tomorrow differently, okay, in terms of your clothes or whatever, right? So it's an appearance, right? But reality is in search of consistency. And so I think that's where it becomes so difficult is that because everything is in flux and everything is all the time changing, it's really hard to somehow also define that and actually to define reality, even if it's just, let's say, agreeing on a scientific fact, right? That's already in and of itself sometimes very, very hard, because depending on through which lens you look at it, you come to different conclusions. And I think that's really important to really stress, is that it's not self-evident necessarily that people come to the same conclusion, not necessarily because they are whatever you want to call them. No, it's simply because they are very differently informed by, as you say, with their belief systems, right? And then at the same time, you also have to take apart the belief and the belief system, right? According to what I have come across, is that the belief is really something that you act upon. Okay, you believe that it's good to go, let's say, jogging and keep in shape, so you do it. It's something that you act. Whereas an idea is something is in your head, but it's not necessarily that you're acting on it. Okay, and so it's really hard. But I also want to go back to ego, right? Because ego is also a term that oftentimes gets kind of confused. For example, according to Jung, the ego is really being conscious, okay? And then there is the unconscious, that is basically these two, they work together. These are different psychic activities that inform the human being in order to make sense of who he or she is, okay? And so ego, I think the way you approach it is really in a way that is basically negative, that is informed by and large by power, right? By the hunger of dominating. And it's basically the antithesis of playfulness, because you talk a lot about playfulness. And I think playfulness is precisely a way in which we actually can get in touch with harmony. What do you think?
Yeah, but these playfulness and mindfulness is the key to harmony. Playfulness and mindfulness is the key to harmony, and you are right regarding this scientific analogy which you have given, that 2 plus 2 is 4, and 1 plus 3 is also 4. Okay, 5 minus 1 is also 4, and then 6 minus 2 is also 4. So you see these in science also, things are also not. But that's why this scientific knowledge is also is a rational knowledge, and that also doesn't quite give the clear reality. That's why, and another point, the we nowadays since India is a big country, that's the question of Hinduism comes, and also this Buddhism comes. In fact, uh, whatever we are talking, these are our ancient wisdom. It doesn't relate with any religion. Our ancestors, and to be more specific, Eastern mysticism as a whole, these Taoism, then these Buddhism, or this Hinduism is this is a culture. So all is nothing but our ancestors. They mastered the nature. They follow the natural order. So those come in a way people, those considered as a perennial philosophy, terminology, but it is independent of any religion. It is nothing but the wisdom of our ancestors. These are the ancient wisdom. So this is very interesting that people have this perceptual distortion. They think that this is Hinduism, this is Buddhism, it comes from Buddhism. It's not that. But those of, because our ancestors, they lived with the nature, they mastered the nature, 24 hours cycle, and they conduct their life by through interconnecting nature of the natural cycle. So they were in a harmony with nature. That's,
Exactly, and it's really the legacy of humanity because all different knowledge worldviews and came together and really helped us advance as a species, right, in order to become so successful and adaptive, which really sets us apart from any other species. I think that's just a fact, and therefore we are basically the creme de la creme. That doesn't mean that we are more important than other organism, of course, but it means that we have some special abilities such as adaptability that is hors pair. Okay, so that is beautiful, and I also loved what you're saying about playfulness and mindfulness, and I think really they are actually, I would say, even the same, because playfulness is really being in a state of being aware, being alive, seeing things the way they are, and that's a way of playfulness. And mindfulness is really actively noticing new things around you, so everything gets new, everything gets exciting again, and therefore we are active, therefore we are able to see things more clearly. And so now, of course, we want to go
okay,
and
just
tie all this.
can I just interrupt with you from this point? Just whatever you said, it is correct. Uh, Harmony equal to, playfulness plus mindfulness. This is the simple equation. Uh, if you are in a harmony, then definitely you will have the playfulness and mindfulness. Without
100%.
playfulness and mindfulness, you cannot remain in harmony. And if you have this playfulness and mindfulness, always you will live in joy, ecstasy, and you will also have mental equilibrium as well. So, in plain word, as you were talking, that whatever we said about this mental equilibrium, harmony, this is nothing but the living in the way of harmony, the playfulness and mindfulness. If you can attain this two, then automatically you will be in a harmony and also in a balance or in a mental equilibrium. At that time, you will see the reality as it is, or you will have the clarity of perception or reality. That's what probably I think now it is clear.
Brilliant. I think that's brilliant. So for everyone really who is listening, so in order to achieve your most abundant life possible, you need two ingredients. You need playfulness plus mindfulness. You can even coin them actually the same, which equals to harmony. And really, harmony is what leads you to an increased perception, or as you said, clarity of perception, which is crucial. That's what we are coming now, because in order to address a conflict, to resolve a conflict, to have a strategy to actually resolve a conflict through harmony, you need first and foremost clarity of perception. And therefore, again, I want to remind everyone who is listening that please go on Harmony and enroll in this program, because then you can actually talk one on one with Dr. Hossein and really get the strategy in order for you to start living a life full of harmony, playfulness, and mindfulness, which is really what we all strive to, because that's the biggest art and science, is to live a harmonious, beautiful, and happy life. And of course, to embrace all the hardships that are part of doing life and living life. Okay, so now let's go and talk about conflict resolution and strategies that we can use, what we have learned from harmony. So, how does harmony somehow relate to conflict resolution and vice versa?
Uh, you know, I always tell one thing, that look for every solution in the nature. So we need to have theoretical understanding about conflict resolution. That is what we have discussed, that we need to be we need to achieve balance and harmony. And balance harmony is, as we always tell, that it is an effective tool for conflict resolution. But to have a, for that matter, not only conflict, for any effective way of solving any issues, uh, uh, this harmony is the key. And for this, you need to go back to the nature. And as I said, that nature is the best teacher. So if nature is the best teacher, there, if you are onlooker of the nature, definitely you will look for every solution in the nature. So if you know the natural order, if you know the pathways or way of the nature, if you know this timing of the nature, if you know the design of the nature, and if you know all these things, you will know this harmony and rhythm of nature. How this, if you know, if there is any disharmony in the nature, you see there will be some conflict in such a way that nature uh, doesn't like this type of disharmony. Automatically, it you know make things clear for itself. Uh, you have seen this. We sometimes know earthquake, then tsunami, and there are a lot of natural calamities. Do you know this is the nature's way to make things as it is, as it should be, because it happened because of some distortion or maybe destruction by others. So you will see that always nature, it remains, it never allows to break its harmony, break its rhythm. So if there is any distortion, it levels it up. So
Renewal. Yes.
yeah. So that's why harmony comes in. And for as we know about harmony, and following the strategy of the uh, plant species, those who all are in the nature, by seeing their strategy, we can drive out a strategy how to how we can solve any issues or crisis, or go for a conflict resolution in a natural way. So if we want, just there are I will give you some strategy. You see these plants or animals who live in the nature, how uh, uh, they are, for their self preservation, or for their survival, how they live in, we must follow that. And in my understanding, those are the best way to get the strategy for conflicted resolution, because those are tested. Now, first, I will talk about honeybee. I will not go in details. You see, these are nothing but mutual interdependence. Okay. Now, me and you, if we are in a conflict, so either you are going to lose or I am going to lose, or you and me are going to live in a perennial uh, disharmony. So it is not 2 plus 2 4. Okay, so you see the honeybee, what it does, it takes honey from the flower. In return, it gives this pollinization or fertilization. So flower blooms. So nature has got this mutual interdependence. So this is also in harmony. So once you go for any conflict resolution, you must keep this strategy in your mind so that you are prepared to give something to get something. These are called a mutual osmosis. So this is one. Then you know, uh, in a nature, there are small uh, animals like porcupine. Uh, if you see that a porcupine is getting defense from great predators like lion and tiger. Porcupine has a quail. So you can see that anyone attacks this porcupine, he just moves his quills and he just defended himself. And you can see the National Geographic channel or other. You can see that how tiger and lion could not take the porcupine. So once you are going for any conflict resolution, if you think that you are inferior than your counterpart. So you need to have this strategy of porcupine. Okay. Then,
So just quickly to just summarize, just to put it in my words, so that we can have like because it's always helpful when we put it in
yeah, yeah,
different languages, so different people can
yeah.
understand
Definitely.
what you are basically saying. So in this situation, we have common interests, very important, because we always are interdependent, right? We also have common denominators that hold us together. In other words, there are certain things that we both have. We have certain needs that we depend on. There is no negotiation, okay, in terms of food, in terms of security, in terms of belonging, in terms of recognition, in terms of action, in terms of meaning when it comes to human beings, okay? That's very important. So this is basically at the very bottom, we have the common denominator that really holds
Exactly.
us together. That's what we have in common as a species, okay? Whether we are in conflict or not. And the second layer is common interest, as you also allude to with pollinating, right? We have interests both that actually are in harmony. In order for me to live, I need you to whatever, okay? And then lastly, we have the positions, right? And there's a divergence. We have different views, maybe different takes. Nonetheless, the common interests, they're still there, and the common denominator are also still there. It doesn't change at all. Does this somehow make sense?
Yeah, but exactly. Whatever I said, you used all this modern vocabulary so that people understand things as it is. This is good. Mm, You have clarified rightly. And next is, I told about ant strategy. Ant has the forsightness. You know, they can sense any delays. So they have the forsightness, think ahead, and also they also, if you see the ants world, they work cohesively together as a team. Okay, and another most interesting thing to me to see the honeybee and these ants. They do everything centering on their leader, like queen. So whatever you do, you must have the leader, and you must be totally dedicated to the leader. Okay. So if you do not have respect to the leader, or if you do not have trust to the leader, then definitely you will see that you will not succeed. Then the eagle strategy. If you want to have a strategic retreat, this is the best way. You want to continue or if you see an impending danger, as you see that eagle flies over the clouds. So, but there is no rain. So they remain in safe condition. And the tortoise. Tortoise is just like a philosopher. Okay, to me, it is just like a philosopher. When they sense any danger, they pull all their limbs inside. So having defense, remain calm. Okay, because since it has harmony and balance, so he knows uh, how to do this. And another thing that if you need to see in Tortoise is that slow and steady wins the race. You know why all these distortions in perception comes? Because our mind is not calm. We are always in a hurry. Okay, so you can see the composer of this turtle that they are very calm and they are always in a and um, another important aspect of this um, tortoise is that once you cannot do things, just pulling your limbs inside, maintain status quo. Okay, so to continue in the peacefully and then at opportune moment get the solution. Then uh, I told many times regarding the Heron strategy. I have seen these are such meditative. They have the concentration and they have the flexibility and they have the ability for precision strike with full speed and full speed to catch their prey. And why I'm talking about this concentration and meditative, uh, if you have this aspect of your mind, then you also uh, see things clearly. And this is the calm composer of yourself. And for doing anything, this is also a prerequisite. Now, we talked about these ideal things, mutual, beneficial giving and taking. But you will see that if you see the civilization history, that there is a war. Why? You, in the introduction, you talked about the evil forces. You also see in the nature that there is a destruction, then nature had to take action in terms of deluge and others. Deluge in terms of the tsunami, earthquake, these, that, disease and others to make things all right. Now, this force is also active in our realm. Now, if you see that a tiger and lion, uh, any one of these, once they attack the buffalo, what buffalo does? You can see the National Geographic Channel. Uh, they are attacking. Now, thing is that lion needs or tiger needs food to uh, food. That's why they want to catch the buffalo. But you see, when buffalo reacts, uh, buffalo wants to live with the grazing. Buffalo doesn't want to kill anyone. Kill tiger or kill any small animals also. But now this conflict or war is imposed upon on buffalo by these ferocious predators. At that time, buffalo they reacts ferociously with all its force. So you will always, if you are in a harmony, if you have the farsightness like ant, you definitely you will not go for any conflict, but you will always remain prepared for yourself for self-defense, or if you need that for attacking. But it's not that you are doing it. That will not be your first move. Once it is imposed upon you, this is not passive for you. Once it is, you must show that you are not weak. You are prepared, and these and strategy must be followed, because if there is a predators like this lion or tiger comes, so that you can defend yourself. So you will see that even if you want to remain in harmony, in peace, but there will be someone they will disturb you, and you must remain prepared for defending that. But once you are having this defense strategy and how you are going to face it, it is also not destroying your balance and harmony. Because remaining with balance and harmony, you are always on guard to face any eventualities or onslaught. So,
This is, yeah, keep going, keep going.
uh, these are the main strategies from the nature. There are many. If I want, I can also show you from plants and other species also. So I'm not going to. This list will be long, but if you are onlooker of the nature, you will be automatically you will learn it. As you said, this terminology mindfulness. Nature is the best place for mindfulness. So if you have this habit of going to the nature, you will learn what is mindfulness. You will achieve the mindfulness, and you will come about all those strategies and knowledge. But here, uh, 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 I want to tell you from some practical life. You know, these two men. One is Rama.
I give a short resume what you are saying, and just in different words. Okay, first and foremost, think ahead, as you said. Okay, honeybees and conflict. Okay, in other words, put things into perspective immediately. Okay, you have to calm down your your brain. Okay, it's really important. So really put things into perspective immediately and think really in terms of a
Yeah.
team, right? Because you are always in a team, even though it's your adversary, right? You are. Dedication to leader, of course. You have to make sure what you're actually up for. What's your mission? What's your vision? Always keep this in mind. Therefore, perspective is very important. Therefore, eagle strategy, okay? Because if you are up higher than the clouds and the rain, you are safe. And that's why it's so actually effective to really zoom out of the situation and contemplate it really from a higher perspective, okay? Tortoise, again, you said take away, slow and steady. In other words, the people who are slow but steady, they get much further in life than the ones who are very fast immediately. Okay, the ones who really succeed in life, they build gradually up one piece at a time, because ultimately you're able to sustain their efforts. Okay, you can only run 100 meters as fast, only so long, right? But at some point you have to slow down, because you're just not capable to go any longer in that pace, right? And then of course focus. Okay, what's your focus again? Because that helps you to make decisions, to put things away that are not really important to your life. Therefore, you have to connect everything you do basically on your values, because if your value system is rooted in a solid set of beliefs, then you are on the right path. So you're able to focus and really distract what's really necessary. And then ultimately, of course, tiger and lion, if they attack the buffalo usually doesn't attack at all. But if necessary, you also have to have a strategy in case you can't but defend yourself. So please, now it's your turn again, and
Yeah, yeah.
to go
Just
for it.
uh, one point that is a key. That means come what may be. Remember, uh, or you permanently imprint in yourself that you will never lose mental equilibrium or balance or and harmony. Uh, if you have this resolve, then you will never become angry. You will never, go wrong, or you will never be distorted. So this is the key word for success. Anything. If you can master this, that you will never lose your mental equilibrium or balance and harmony, then if you just know this word that I will not lose this, I will not lose this, you will see that people cannot make you angry because you know that if you are angry, then you are losing this. So this is the way, this is the layman way to learn this. Now, just to clarify from the historical perspective about what the strategy we said that first of all, you see the Rama in the King Rama in Ramayana. Though I'm not talking from any religious point of view, you see the his Rama's life is a total disaster, one after another. Because as a human being, if you and me had this life, probably we would have been destroyed much earlier. You know, when he's supposed to become the king, he was not given the kingdom by his father. Instead, he was sent to the jungle. Okay. So there, his wife was taken by Ravana. So another disaster. So after fighting lot of battles and that, he rescued his wife. And once he was coming back to his kingdom, at that time again he sent them all, and he went to a cave of a says Augusta Muni because uh, for penance. He said that Ravan had 10 heads, so one head is good, so I killed that, so I need to atone my sin. Then when he wants to take his wife to his kingdom, people say no, you cannot take her. And he was about to kill his kids, two sons, Love and Kush. So his life was total disaster, but he has not taken any steps what deviates from the Raj Dharma or from the righteousness. And he was always very calm, cool in composure, and he uh, does everything uh, rightfully in a righteous way. So you see, in our life there will be a lot of disaster and everything, and if you have this, I said, mental equilibrium or balance or harmony, and coupled with if you uh, act in a righteous way, definitely you will be able to solve all the issues. Now, uh, next one that you talked about this buffalo and also playfulness and mindfulness. You know the main reason for Battle of Kurukshetra why two dynasties were rooted out, millions of people were killed, just nothing but for a few number of villages which was rightful for the Pandavas. They asked from Kurus, their cousin, but they were not given. And there was this battle. And you see, for this unwriters act, uh, what has happened? Two dynasties were totally rooted out, and this war was, bestowed upon Pandavas by the Kurus. They were evicted once, and ultimately, no one become victorious. And you know how Krishna, as a main advisor of the Pandavas, he did everything with playfulness and mindfulness. Okay, so once definitely, if uh, if you deal with equals, and always remember that you are not going to attack fast, or you are not going to use any violence fast. But if people wants to use it, then you must use it with more violence so that things remain in place. But here, uh, as I told you earlier, that this advice of Krishna to the Arjuna, he said that Arjuna didn't want to fight because he said, they are my brothers and sister and they are my relatives. I will not fight, I will not kill them. But that's why he said that never ever lose your self harmony. If you do not kill them, they will kill you. So you know the reality fast and remain composer and don't lose your self-harmony, and it is the right and appropriate for you to draw the sword and kill your enemy, otherwise you will be killed. Okay. So we end this phase here, and finally, as you told about some actionable strategies, we will just give in point form. Okay. You want to say something
Exactly.
about this?
Exactly. I think the best way is actually, I think you gave a really nice theoretical background. I think the actionable steps, I think we leave it for our next episode. I think it will be very powerful because this was very, very insightful. And there are already many steps actually that are actionable, such as putting things into context, perspective, and so on and so forth. That really helps us to actually act according to our and our enemy's best interest. Dr. Moazzem Hossein, thank you again, once again, for your outstanding being, for your outstanding wisdom. And I can't wait to catch up next in a week to really talk and discuss the actionable steps when it comes to harmony and conflict resolution.
Okay, thank you. Since we have already spoken more than an hour, so it's better that next Sunday we talk about this final phases of this conflict resolution, that actionable pathways. Okay.
Dr. Moazzem Hossein. That's why knowledge matters. Make your life a masterpiece. Visit now programs.the-ykm.com. Meant to